Hi guys, welcome to this live stream. We will be discussing about stranger anxiety and separation anxiety in babies. And guys, as I requested, let me have your attention. Let me share your experience with your young ones on how they reacted when you separated with them or when you met a stranger. Before we start, let me know how was their reaction. You're all welcome to this channel, and if you're new here, kindly subscribe. Also, let me know where you're watching me from. Karibuni sana, karibuni sana. I'm waiting for you guys so that we can start. Maybe I can just move on as I wait for you. And if you're there, just comment and say hi. Yes, and like I've pinned there, please let me know how was your kid. How did your kid react when you first left them? How did they react when you first met a stranger? That's what we are discussing today. Maybe we can start with stranger anxiety. And this is actually the fear of stranger to a new one, to a young baby. And this fear of stranger, according to me, I think it starts, there's a certain age where kids start developing this stranger anxiety. And according to what I've observed, it kind of starts from 7-8 months. Yes, you realize that once a stranger is in your house, a stranger, I mean a new person. It might be your friend who you've not met for long. It might be your spouse who've not been there for so long. It might be a relative or any other colleague, all those people. And if they happen to visit you or you happen to meet somewhere with your kid, there's a way they react, either by crying, going silent. They can also act afraid. You can see that action to show that they are afraid. And they sometimes they even hide. Some of them will hide. Yeah, those are some of the reactions that they will let you know that your kid has developed that stranger anxiety. And I think it's normal because I've seen this in so many kids, and I've experienced it with mine. It's actually happening now. Nowadays, if we meet any new person, hey, wall, they cry like never before. She cries, oh Lord. But anyway, I'm also trying to manage it. This is something that you have to accept. It's a stage in your kid, in your young one, and it's just you who can help them overcome it. And you don't force them to strangers. If they don't want strangers, let them hold them on to yourself. Yes, guys, I'm waiting for you to join. If you're watching, please comment so that I mention your name. Someone is watching, but they're just quiet. Please talk. Like I said, there are different ways in which kids react to strangers. And I mentioned one, they can cry. If you meet a stranger and your kid just start crying all of a sudden, just know that they have developed that stranger anxiety. They might also go quiet, unusual, and like them, some of them decide to hide. Yeah. And some of them will act afraid. You'll see that action of being fearful in them. Once you get here, please shout so that I mention your name. Comment, leave a comment. I'm also asking you to let me know how was your experience with a stranger or the first time you left your baby to go for work, to go for shopping, to even move from one room to the other. How was their reaction? That's what we are learning today. What about separation anxiety? Separation anxiety, like I said, it's when you leave your kid. It's actually leaving them. Yes. And like I said, when you're leaving them, they also tend to cry a lot. That's how you know that they are suffering from that separation anxiety. But you have to go to work, you have to do other activities. So, how do you manage that separation anxiety with your kid? Let's engage. Let's engage. So I'll be listing down, I will be talking about how you can manage that separation anxiety and how one of the ways in which you can manage that separation anxiety is take your time, take time to introduce your baby to the nanny, ama to the person you're living them with. Let them have that one-on-one connection, so that anytime you're leaving, once you hand over to them, they don't take long to bond. But if you've not introduced your kid to your nanny or to the part to caregive to your caregiver, to their caregiver, it becomes hard for you to leave them with anyone. And in that case, you might struggle leaving them. The other point is, when you're leaving them, don't sympathize. Is it sympathizing? What I mean is, just avoid getting emotional when you're leaving them. Find a way in which you'll tell them bye, see you in the evening. Yes, if they are at that stage where they can talk, just ask them what do they want you to bring for them. Don't lie to your kids. They are not babies anymore. If you promise them a sweet, an apple, an orange, please make sure you deliver. Because if you don't, the next time you're leaving, they'll be like, no, yesterday you lied to me, today we are living with you. You don't want to experience that when you're going to work or you have a commitment, an appointment somewhere. Yeah. And when you come back, please create time to bond with your baby. Yes. Reunite again. That's the word. You've been away the whole day. They've been expecting you. You know, you left and they were like, Mom will be back after a few. So they've waited for you the whole time. You're nowhere to be found. And that's when they start developing that anxiety. So mom left me today. Tomorrow she'll be leaving me. Mm. The other way in which you can manage this separation anxiety is, if you and your partner both leaves to work in the morning, and the baby reacts more when you leave than when your partner leaves, please consider leaving first, so that by the time your partner is leaving, the baby has forgotten about you and they don't have that strong reaction toward the partner who is leaving. That way you'll help them. And something I've forgotten to tell you guys, once you get to where you're going, if you left your kid crying, please call back home. Let you know how the baby is doing. Yes. And most of the time, in most cases, you'll find out that they immediately stopped crying once you left. I'm still waiting for your contribution. How do you manage this reaction in your kids? Please let me know. As I wait for your comments, let's go to stranger anxiety. How do you manage stranger anxiety? Yes. Like I said, you've met this close friend of yours who you've not seen for a while, but all of a sudden the kid starts crying. How will you manage that? Please let me know. So one way in which you can manage this is, sorry. You can manage this by holding on to your kid. If the baby develops that, if you notice that the kid has developed that fear once you meet, please consider holding the baby onto yourself. You can either hold their hand, or even place them on your lap to relax. That's one way. You can also, if you know an activity that makes them happy, or an item, maybe it's a toy, it's a food, that once they have this, they tend to relax or even forget about what's happening around, consider that as well. And don't forget, you can also inform your friend, the stranger around you, that your baby tends to behave as so that they don't feel awkward. Mm. It's not a nice feeling when you visit someone and their kid can react to you. They don't want you to hold them, they don't want you to look at them, they don't want to see you around, so you feel uncomfortable. But please inform the stranger with you that the baby will be okay and they'll bond after a while. Yes. I'm waiting for your comments, guys. And when a stranger comes to your home, I think it's much easier because kids tend to feel secure when they are in their house, in their homes. And one of hi, please let me know who joined. I can see you. Like I said, introducing strangers to your home, that helps your baby. Your baby will feel secure when they are at their home with a stranger, unlike when they are away. So that way they are able to bond quickly. Thank you for joining. You're most welcome. We are discussing about stranger anxiety and separation anxiety in young ones, in babies. And I was talking about how you can help you overcome your baby on this stranger anxiety. Some of the points that I've listed down is, and this stranger anxiety is actually fear of stranger to kids. And the reason why your kids will fear stranger is, one, they might never have seen a new person in their life. They are used to their mom, dad, and their caregiver. If their caregiver changes, they also tend to change their reaction towards the new caregiver. And let me give an example to those people who take their kids to daycare. You find that you've started taking your kid to daycare when they were as young as 6 7 months, and right now maybe they are almost an year, but they're used to one caregiver at the daycare, and immediately this caregiver changes. You find out that when you take the baby, they don't want you to leave. They don't want the new caregiver to touch them. They start crying all of a sudden. Or even, how else do they react? They might be hiding under your neck. Yes, that way you know that your kid has developed a stranger anxiety. And some of the ways in which you can help your kid, for once there's a stranger around, please hold on to their hands. You can hold on to their hands. You can let them sit on your lap. Yes, you can hold them up to just make them feel secure. The other way in which you can help them is, let the stranger know that your kid has that anxiety and assure them that it will be okay after a while. That way the stranger will feel comfortable. How is that feeling when you go visit a friend and the kid doesn't want to see you? The whole time they're crying. I've experienced that with a friend of mine. I'm sorry. I didn't know about it. And that's why I decided to enlighten another new mother who doesn't know about this stranger anxiety. Mhm. You might be condemning the visitor whereas the problem is not the visitor. It's a stage that your kid is in, and they tend to react that way. So take it easy. The other way in which you can help your baby overcome the stranger anxiety is let meet the strangers in your own house. In your own house, your kids tend to feel a bit comfortable with strangers and like outside. And guys, something funny about this stranger anxiety. When you're young, your kids develops it and you like want it to end. But once they get to like 4 or 5 years, you request them to stay away from strangers. Yeah, we've had cases of kids being stolen, kids being kidnapped, yes, dragged by strangers, and it's a stage that they've passed. They've passed the stage where you've been telling them to accept strangers. Now you're telling them to keep the strangers away. So, guys, let me know, how did your kid react when they first met strangers? And strangers, I mean your friends who you've not met for so long, your colleagues, it might be your partner, it's a new caregiver that you have in the house. How was their reaction? Let me know, please. Put it in the comment section. I will see. Let me see. We still have to talk about separation anxiety. I talked about it before you joined. In separation anxiety, I was talking of when you're about to leave, you're about to go to work, you have a commitment somewhere, and your kid won't let you go. What do you do at that point? Thank you for joining. Let's have this discussion. Please comment, leave a comment in the comment section. How did your kid react to when you first left them? I think these two, the stranger anxiety and the separation anxiety, happens at the same time. At the same age, between 7, 8 to like 2 years. In that period, that's when you realize stranger anxiety and this separation anxiety. But I don't mean they are limited to that time, because some of them tend to go as far as 5 years. And by the time they are overcoming it, that's when you realizing that this anxiety at sometimes helps. If your kid doesn't accept strangers, by no chance will they talk to one. By no chance will they be, what do we call them, enticed by one. You know, the kind of stuff strangers use to either kidnap, steal a kid. And some of ways in which you can help your kid reduce this separation anxiety is introduce them well to their caregiver, the babysitter. If you have a new babysitter, welcome, Isaac, dear Isaac. Yes, you say they hide from facing strangers. That's true. That's one point that we mentioned. So let's continue. Introduce your kid to your caregiver. Let them bond so that anytime you're leaving, you can tell them, go to your auntie, and they're like, okay, mom. Yeah, it's not easy, but you just make them bond. That way it will help. The other way in which you can do it, we're talking about separation anxiety, is check if you and your partner, check who the kid bond most with. Sometimes, let me say, it's their mommy, although that's not the case for me. If you have that strong bond with your kid, consider leaving first and leave your partner. behind, so that by the time your partner is leaving, the kid has forgotten that you left, and they don't have that strong attachment to their dad. So they just leave easily. And when you leave, if you get to work and you left your kid crying, please make it a point, you take it upon yourself to call back and know if the kid is still crying or they cooled down. In most cases, you'll find out that they didn't cry even for long. It was just for a while and they were okay. Karibu sana, Isaac, and the other friends who are around. Let me know, how did your kid react when you first separated with them? Whether you are leaving for work or you had a commitment and you had to leave, how did they react? Also, let me know, when you first met a stranger, how did they react? That's what we are discussing today. And we have this tendency of, when we are leaving and the kids start crying, we are like, oh no, mama, oh no, daddy, stop crying. No, 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 don't. If you decide to leave, move and go. Call later to know how the kid is doing. Because the moment you start this, oh, don't cry, oh, mom, don't go, oh, what, we're going with you, you make things worse. Yes. Let me know how your kid behaves in such cases. And when you come back, guys, please take it upon yourself to bond with your kids. You've separated with them the whole day, might be 2 hours, and like the whole time you spent with them. So when you come back, just wash your hands, sit down with your baby, talk, let you know how they spent their day. Yes. If you have an additional point, kindly give it. Put it in the comment section. Separation anxiety in kids. And also reassure, once you promise, there are those promises we make when we are leaving. Oh, mama, stop crying. I'll bring you tamu, what do you call them? Yes, that's what you promise. Always ensure, if you promise them even a sweet, ensure you carry it with you when you're coming back. Because if you don't, tomorrow they'll be like, oh, yesterday you lied to me, today you're not going to do it. Stranger anxiety, we're just going back, we're just repeating these points for those who've joined late. So if you've come late, please, we're talking about stranger anxiety.